Mississippi right now?
So Philadelphia, Mississippi is famous or infamous for all the wrong reasons. In 1964, two white activists and a black activist, James Chaney, Michael Schwerner, and Andrew Goodman, traveled here from New York. They were the new core field operators to make sure that black folks here in Philadelphia, Mississippi had the right to vote. They were also here to investigate the burning of this church. Deputy Cecil Price at the time has been reported to gather up parishioners, kneel them down in the front of his car in front of the headlights, and beat them with rifle butts. They also burned the church down.
This church behind us, this is the second or third church in its spot.
This would be the third time. It was rebuilt, burned down, and then rebuilt after the fire again. That's second time.
And it's been burned down by the KKK.
Burned down by the Ku Klux Klan. So when they were in town, they had two objectives: to make sure they got the black folks here to vote, and to investigate the burning of this church. This town and the people that lived here, they hadn't had any outside help. They never rose up against the tyranny and the horror of the KKK. They didn't know what to do. They lived in fear. And these weren't just any old activists. These folks were from New York, considered city slickers, far from the slow drawl of where we are here in Philadelphia, Mississippi. The fact that they were investigating from such an outside part of the country, that was frightening to the KKK. Also, the fact that someone who's black would dare to incite a rising from what they thought were tamed black members of their community was too much for the KKK to be able to swallow. Too big of a pill.
So what happens?
So the KKK, knowing that these three activists are in town, actually come to this church with the intent of burning it down again, hoping that these three activists are inside. Unfortunately, the activists aren't here. They have the wrong timing. They're able to leave, beating a couple parishioners so they can feel a little bit better about themselves, and then they put out an all-points bulletin. So Sheriff Rainey and Deputy Cecil Price block off all the roads. They're finally able to find the vehicle. They pull the vehicle over. There's three activists in the back seat.
What excuse are they using to have all these roadblocks and to be looking for these people? What's the investigation?
Well, it's interesting. Reasonable articulable suspicion for the stop is two things. Number one, it's for speeding. Number two, Deputy Cecil Price is investigating these three men as suspects for the burning of the Mount Zion Church. The police used the same thing that they did as their excuse to stop them. The men were arrested for speeding, taken to jail, and then they were kept there for hours upon hours until night fell. Far less witnesses when you can't see in the dark. They were told that they could go and that they were free to leave. They left. At this point again, Deputy Price and Sheriff Rainey were able to shut down all the roads, making sure that they were inaccessible to any of the citizens, especially the black community. Finally, the car was stopped again. Now, these men just thought, we got out of this alive, and now they're pulled over again. These three men are removed from the car. They are chain whipped, beaten. Two are castrated. That's where their lives ended. They transported these bodies about 7 miles where they would dump the bodies. It would take 44 days for the FBI to find them. This sparked national outrage. Dr. Martin Luther King marched onto the old Neshoba jail. The country itself was in an uproar. We had just had Emmett Till and a string of about 20 other racially motivated murders, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Because of these three men and their bravery and their investigation into this church, in the eyes of terror, the 1964 Civil Rights Bill was passed. That Civil Rights Bill that happened because of these three men is what ultimately stopped the segregation of schools, what gave black people the same rights as white people, which stopped, there being segregated theaters, fountains, bathrooms. And some say they gave their life in service of the civil rights movement. They didn't give their life. That life was taken, but it was taken in service.
Okay. So what are we doing here then?
This case is over 60 years old, but we have new information. We were reached out to by local sources indicating possible new suspects and eyewitnesses from that night who have kept their silence allegedly for the past 60 years to finally speak up to change literally the pages and the course of history.
So we are here to investigate new findings.
We may have people that want to share information that has never before been shared publicly, privately, or to the news media.
And we're also going to go through town and we're going to speak to everyone else that we can just to kind of see what the temperature is in town about all this. What does everyone else know? What else can we find out just from going in city buildings, talking to the mayor? Who can we talk to today?
I'm hoping that they're going to want to talk to us and that they're going to want to open up and they're going to want to welcome us in.
Let's go take a look at Philadelphia, Mississippi. Built in 1955, the county jail remained in use until 1978. Civil rights workers James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner were held here after being arrested in 1964. On June 21, 1966, a voter registration march led by Ralph Abernathy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stopped before moving to the Neshoba County Courthouse.
So interesting. Here for the Confederacy. Across the street is the old jail where they kidnapped 3 activists.
Hey.
County building where you do all your business? Yes. Okay. I was wondering while I'm here in Philadelphia, if there's like anything famous I should know about, any cool places to check out, anything big. What's Philadelphia on the map for?
What's it known for?
Yeah, I'd probably say Marty Stewart at the moment.
Marty Stewart?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was a big country singer, right?
He was.
I know my country.
Yeah, his place is right on the corner there. It used to be the old Ellis Theater. We just had Chris Stapleton here a few weeks ago.
Oh, that's a concert. I'm sorry I missed that one. I just saw Scotty McCreery.
We've had him down here. We've had Dolly Parton down here. Probably the biggest.
What else is this area known for? Is there anything else?
I don't even know.
What about you, sir? Anything that this place is known for? Philadelphia?
The Neshoba County Fairground.
Neshoba County Fairground. We got something else. All right, so now we get to add to the list.
Is that where they usually have the country music concerts at?
Oh, those are right there.
Oh, that's right downtown?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right, so we're getting some good stuff.
Okay.
We're getting some good places.
Here, pop quiz about the building. So is this the original courthouse?
No, it's been remodeled.
But it's the original spot where it was?
Does the
I was just
name
curious.
Michael Schwerner mean anything to you?
That's the civil rights thing. That's 2 blocks over.
Oh no, I know where it's at. I was just asking, like, you know.
Some of young folks are not gonna know it, but some of the
To me
older folks know.
personally, no.
You don't know. Okay, so Michael Schwerner was a civil rights.
We don't hesitate on the old stuff. We move forward. We're in the forward.
3 civil rights activists murdered, and we should move forward, not talk about it.
No, we shouldn't. I mean, I'm just saying it was a sad thing that happened, but you can't rehash the past.
I mean, well, the way that you make sure that stuff doesn't happen again. You know what I'm trying to do. This makes. Oh, he got triggered real quick.
Yeah, he
The
did.
very mention of it.
So that's actually a very good insight to the personality of this town. It's all good and fine until you bring up something of the past, which I don't have that one town I've lived in my whole life, so maybe I can't relate. Why am I to take the ownership of that? Like, let's talk about it. Who cares?
As
You
soon
know?
as I mentioned it,
Why would I get upset about talking about it?
she didn't know about it, so they're not teaching their kids about what happened. They're not really teaching anything.
That's
See what
interesting.
the circuit clerk.
So it's still a touchy subject.
This is my
Excuse me,
colleague.
I'm with him.
His name's Justin. My name's Josh. I was just telling them that we're trying to
Nice to meet
figure
you.
out these small towns. What's cool? What's whatever? What's famous about Philadelphia?
Fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds. We heard fairgrounds.
Okay, so that's what he said too. What's special about the fairgrounds?
It's not like any fair. Yeah.
It's like, it's extra. It isn't just like a normal fairgrounds.
No, it's
There are
right.
cabins.
Really?
People
Yeah.
stay for
Excuse me.
weeks.
Everyone's telling us about the fairground. We're trying to find like something new, maybe some hidden gem. And then I did some research and I heard about the a gentleman named Michael Schwerner.
I figured it was gonna be the Killen's trial.
The what?
The Killen's trial.
Oh, right. The
Ray Killen.
Yes.
It has taken 40 years, but a man has finally been charged in the murder of 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi. 79-year-old Edgar Ray Killen pleaded not guilty in court yesterday. Killen is a preacher and a reputed Ku Klux Klan member. In 1964, James Chaney, Michael Schwerner, and Andrew Goodman were in Mississippi to help register African Americans to vote. Their murders inspired the movie in 1988. It was called Mississippi Burning, starring Gene Hackman. Killen's arrest comes after 3 Chicago area high school students put together a documentary about those killings. Sarah Siegel, Allison Nichols, and Brittany Soschel of Stevenson Heights in Lincolnshire. They spent more than a year working on that project. It included a phone interview with Killen. Their project helped generate a congressional resolution last June asking federal prosecutors to reopen that case.
We knew that this is what we're fighting against. This is our purpose in working on this case, is to try to get justice, and more importantly than that, try to change people's attitude.
Family members of the slain men are now calling those students, quote, superhero girls.
From most of the people I've talked to, a lot of people have lived here for a long time. The Prices still have relatives here. The Kyleens still have relatives here. And, you know, the Stewarts actually have a relative here.
Okay.
So they were all charged. Do you know what they were charged for?
That I'm not sure.
There's different information online, and it looks like maybe it was just manslaughter, and they got like 5 or 6 years apiece.
Yeah, but I think Edgar Ray got.
He got 40,
Right.
and that was
He died
only
in prison.
recently. About 45, 50 years after it happened, on the anniversary of it, they went back, recharged him, and then he...
Yeah, because I've got everything. I keep it in my office in one area, so if anybody wanted to come and look, everything to do with this case. I have
Really?
That
Would
is...
you like to come in and take a look at
May
it?
I? Do you mind if I take my
Oh,
camera?
yeah.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
wow.
That'd be fantastic.
Jackpot.
You take pictures of whatever you need.
All right. Thank you so much. Look at this.
Circuit Court case. The state versus Edgar Ray Killen. He, along with Deputy Cecil Price, were the main folks involved here. Count 1. Late of the county aforesaid, on or about the 21st day of June in the year of our Lord 1964, did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously kill and murder Michael Schwerner, a human being without authority of law and with deliberate design to effect death of Schwerner.
So we got Edgar Ray Killen, count 1 for Michael Schwerner, and then count 2
James Chaney.
for James
And the
Chaney,
next one would be Andrew
and
Goodman.
then Andrew Goodman. Yep, count 3. Who else was charged?
There were a total of 9 people
Is that-
charged. That's the discovery.
I'd like to know what was in the discovery. What did they have? Okay, so this is interesting. So a lot of what was in the discovery were tips, and there was a hotline. A dedicated phone line has been set up at the Attorney General's office to receive tips. In addition, the individuals providing such tips can speak directly to an investigator. The individuals are given the opportunity to either remain anonymous or to disclose their identity. There was a $100,000 reward offered in 1994. So this all happened in 64. So 30 years later, they offer a $100,000 reward for information regarding the June 21st, 1964 murders of Michael Schwerner, Andrew Goodman, and James Chaney. And it appears that these tips are a lot of what was in the discovery. 12 tips were received. In October of 67, the defendant, Edgar Ray Killen, along with 18 other individuals were tried in the Southern District of Mississippi for conspiracy to violate the civil rights of Michael Schwerner, Andrew Goodman, and James Chaney. So it was Edgar Ray Killen along with 18 other individuals. That's insane. That is literally a mob of Klansmen.
A lot of the names that are on the charge list from the original trial were people he called as witnesses in the new trial.
I want to ask her, does she think there was a fourth person? And who is that fourth person? So that's what's the big thing that we're trying to solve here, Josh? There's one thing
there's supposedly another person that was involved. That supposedly, I guess the easiest way to put it is got off scot-free. For whatever reason, their name wasn't mentioned. And secondly, it leads us to the question is why were all these guys in the backseat of the car? Right? Something is missing, some big piece is missing, and for some reason,
so if we were
all these people turning on each other.
If we're gonna put our tinfoil hat on and just make accusations, who do you think it is? Who do you think was driving the car?
Well, the initials are, and as I'm reading some of this stuff, my mind is kind of changing. I think originally I didn't understand why they let him go, and my train of thought was, well, he was one of their own, and they'd figure he learned his lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if there was something more sinister behind it. I'm wondering if it was a setup. I'm looking at the names of all these people, and he's not on the witness list. He was an integral part of it. He's in the FBI situational reports. It's no question that he was with them and that he brought them here. So their main contact throughout the whole thing is really the only one that survives. And when you look him up online, there's nothing to be found. And he's been really willing as an older man to talk about these different instances. And once I told him I was investigating, all of a sudden it's ghost town.
If we were going to talk conspiracy, he picked these people up with the full plan on meeting these 19 people, apparently.
I mean, he's the driver everywhere. He's been driving them around. The Klan thought that Michael Schwerner was going to be at that church. People get older, they start recounting their sins. I mean, there's a reason he didn't talk about it for 60 years.
Josh is going to leave the man's name out of it for now, but he is alive. He's around 85 years old. He's in this town, but he's not mentioned anywhere in any of these documents that we see.
No, and the one thing they don't explore in any of it, how is the car driving itself? I think he delivered them.
And the statement clearly says they were all three in the back seat. Who made the statement?
The statement was by multiple people that were part of the Klan themselves. They walked up on the car. The three activists. It refers to the activists from being removed from the backseat.
So it's almost as if everyone told the story as if it as it happened, but there was just one piece of detail left out, which didn't make sense. So yes, they all three got out of the back seat, but I'm just going to leave out the part of who was in the front seat.
Why? Why protect him at that point?
Why?
We left that stuff over there for you the way we found it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The one that was driving was
black.
No.
Yeah.
The one that was driving was black.
That's what I'm told by. We'll have to get that off.
Edgar Ray Killen, the preacher and Ku Klux Klansman convicted for plotting the 1964 killing of 3 civil rights activists in Mississippi, has died in prison. The state's Department of Corrections said Killen died Thursday. He was serving a 60-year sentence for his role in the slayings of James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner. Chaney was a young black man from Meridian, Mississippi, while Goodman and Schwerner were white New Yorkers in Mississippi to register black voters. Prosecutors say Killen assembled a mob that included law enforcement officers and Klansmen to chase and kill the 3 men in the town of Philadelphia in June 1964. The murder was one of the most shocking and galvanizing moments of the U.S. civil rights movement. Killen was 92 years old.
Speak with us.
I really would prefer not to.
Okay, yeah.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Josh. I actually got your number from... I'm a documentary filmmaker and YouTuber. I'm working on a story speaking to the families of and descendants of people that were involved in the summertime murders. Some new evidence has come to light that we're exploring. and we're just looking to speak to some people to get some background, and said that you might be willing to speak to us. She was a little bit too young to remember Edgar, other than he had a big personality, and she thought that you might want to talk to us.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm currently working on a book called The Man I Knew, and it's about Edgar Ray. So if you want to find out any information, you're more than welcome to check that out.
Oh,
And I
is
don't
it-
have anything else to tell
Is
you.
it for sale now?
It's in the process of it.
I want to find out more about, I want to ask more people, even if they've just heard the rumor that there was another person in the car. That's what I'm after right now.
Yep.
Let's go in here.
Yep. Look at.
I'm gonna leave it off camera, but Josh just got a text. The unknown person is supposedly black.
And he would know because he's met him. He has a picture. Him and his wife have a picture with this man. And he was telling this gentleman's wife, oh no, like I picked them up. That whole story was BS. They didn't drive here from New York. Which prompted me to reach out to Michael Schwerner's family to find out that his wife, who's still alive now, lived in Meridian, and she was there when he was picked up at the bus station.
So they took a bus.
They took the bus to Meridian. That is without dispute. Everyone from Goodman's family, Schwerner's family, they all say the same thing. They rode here in a bus. The FBI puts it as Michael took his dad's car. The FBI story is Michael Schwerner and his friends.
They took the bus and then got picked up by this mystery person that's still alive.
That's still alive. She told me she was there. She's like, I don't know why the FBI said that Michael took his dad's car and drove all the way up to Philadelphia. He took a bus to Meridian. We picked him up in Meridian, then went to Philadelphia.
And this is the wife of
Michael Schwerner. She told me on the telephone that she was present in Meridian when they got there off the bus. The three of them and this other person. I think the plan was, and I'm just kind of projecting here, she was meeting him there, right? I think she was the reason he came there. They go to do their business in Philadelphia, and then when they were done, when they were murdered, they were leaving Philadelphia to go to Meridian. For him to go back to see his wife. He just didn't make it that far.
Does she also say, I saw him get into the car with Mystery Man?
I can't specifically recall if she mentioned watching them get into the vehicle, only that he was there with Cheney and Goodman, and then their local contact from Core at the church was this unnamed man, right? And he was there to take them and drive them around. Driving through, I'm going to be going to Meridian too, and I'm asking everyone, what's great about Philadelphia? What is Philadelphia, Mississippi known for? And I've heard the Heart Museum, the fairgrounds. Ladies, what do you think? Am I missing anything? Is that about it?
Well, the fair is a big part of as far as the city itself, you know, the county fair.
I've never heard of a fairgrounds where people stay there for weeks, I was told. There's cabins out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's just a big party for a week or two long out there. Like, is there a carnival out there like while that's happening, or
It is.
it's a whole festival that just.
Races.
So, what else are we famous for? That's about it. We got the fairground, the Stewart Museum.
There's a little dark history that we're learning about as well.
But we just found out about that. Someone told us about it. Do you have any more information other than that?
Oh, no, I mean, it's the past.
In the past.
In the
That's
past.
what we've been told.
It's in the past.
Okay.
Are you from here?
I am.
You are?
Oh, nice.
So, what is your, if you were going to give me, in a nutshell, the elevator pitch of what happened?
Oh.
And I know it doesn't have to be perfectly factual, but that's kind of the point of why I'm
It
asking.
was just a
Is
surprise. We didn't know. So now we're trying to figure it out.
what are the town? Yeah, if you're from here, you know, what do you remember being told? I mean, I'm sure you didn't see it happen, but what do you remember being told happened? Like, what in your mind? What's the story as a person that's from here?
I think y'all probably know. It's just racial indifferences.
I'm getting a lot of different mixed answers.
You said it was racial indifferences.
That's what I feel like.
So was there like an argument? Like, because
I mean, I have no idea.
James Chaney was a black gentleman, and he was chain whipped, beaten, and then castrated on the side of the road. I would call that a little bit past racial indifference. I'd call that cold-blooded, calculated murder that literally caused, started, and finished the civil rights movement. And that's why we're just asking, because it's like, it's in the past, it was, it was just a little bit of a commotion.
No, I think it went way past commotion.
I would agree, and no one wants to talk about it, and I'm just like, well, I mean...
Because it's something I would like to forget.
If people had forgot about it in 2005, these gentlemen would have never faced true justice.
That's a really good point. The trial was brought up 40 years after, so thankfully they didn't quit talking about it. Have a good day.
Have a great day. The brutal murder and assassination of 3 people was racial indifference. That lady out there was like a police officer or something. I want to talk to her.
Yeah, where'd she go? Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Hey, just random questions. Are you from here?
Yeah.
I know you're not old enough to be around for it all, but the civil rights murders, are you familiar with all that stuff?
A little bit, yeah.
The rumor I'm hearing is there was a 4th person in the car that's never named. Have you ever heard anything about
I
that?
haven't heard that. I knew that I've heard there was a car incident and they drove it off like into the water, killing. That's what I was told like growing up.
Yeah, after they were killed, the story was that they took the car, they drove it into a ravine, and then they went and buried the bodies at a landfill.
Yeah.
All right.
To the sheriff's department.
No, not yet.
I wonder.
No,
if
we
they-
haven't.
Just 'cause I think the prosecutions happen like county.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm caught in the middle of like myth busting. It's a fact that this unnamed person we're talking about was part of the core group at the church. I can prove that. I have it on paper. I can prove that he told people that he drove the car that day. But why was he protected?
Essentially, you can prove that he was in the car with them at one point, but not that you can't prove that he was there at the time of the murders.
Aside from him saying that he was, and then giving no further explanation, I can't.
Who did he say he was to?
Our local contact.
Just a normal person, so not any statements, no news sources.
No, it appears later in life, he's always known for sitting down and talking to people and telling the stories of old. And he told a local contact here, among other people, as he's getting older, he starts recounting the stories. Oh no, that wasn't Michael Schwerner's father's car. That was my car. In fact, I was driving it that night. So it could just be an old man maybe mixing up history or intertwining things that are real with the things that aren't real. Maybe he feels like he should have been a part of what happened to them. Maybe he feels he didn't do enough. I don't know, but unless we get some concrete evidence, I think we're going to have to go myth busting.
We're at the Neshoba County Sheriff's Department. We are here to see if we can get some more answers. Are you from here? Actually, let me start there. Are you from here? You are?
The district attorney's office?
No.
That'd be
a good one.
That would be the best place because actually someone took me in the back there and they had different things, I believe, from the trial, back in there. There'd be something to get your facts.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to sit here and start quoting things I'm not sure.
Right.
A lot of it is just rumor, and I mean, even if you acknowledge this is a rumor I heard, it's just interesting to know what the people that are from this town 50 years later, actually more than that now.
Did you ever hear who was driving the car that day?
I don't.
The interesting thing is, if you look through the FBI memos, everyone who was there seems to say that 3 activists were pulled out of the back seat of the car. I spoke to Michael Schwerner's widow, She's 85 years old now. She's one of the largest civil rights attorneys retired in the country. And she tells us how she and another gentleman that was from the core group at the Mount Zion Church, she was originally from Meridian, so they take the bus, they go to Meridian, they get picked up there, and then they're driving around in this other gentleman's car, and that's coming from all of the family.
So you've never heard any kind of even just a rumor about another person being in the car, possibly even driving that car?
I have.
Hence,
if I did, I totally forgot.
And was Rainey the sheriff here when this all went down? Lawrence Rainey? He was a sheriff somewhere.
Yeah, he was a sheriff. Yeah, he was a sheriff.
Do you remember the census in town being that they kind of got away with it?
Edgar Ray Killen,
he did for sure for a while.
For sure. He was the only one that.
I think even the other ones, they only got
6 years. As Cecil Price, he got 6 years. Certainly the time that they got.
Right.
But then again, they were the first white men ever to be convicted by an all-white jury for a killing of an opposite race.
Racism is still alive, of course.
Of course it is.
Extreme racism. It actually, I can't believe the way some people think, but we can't change it. All we can do is try to, talk to them.
It just makes you get angry. Like, I spoke to one person and I said, can you tell me what you were? He said in a nutshell, elevator pitch, and she goes, yeah, just a little bit of racial indifference. Indifference is if you think your shoes are cooler than mine and I disagree. That's an indifference. And she was a city employee.
I think she was trying to not paint her town in a bad picture.
This is a city employee here.
At the city hall.
I know who she is, Maryland.
and that's the thing, like, we're not here to paint anyone in a bad light.
I worked with her for a while, and we've had these conversations with her before. Of how she feels about things. And stuff.
Interesting. And
I think it's
so there's a divided thought in town.
We would agree that there's still some divided tensions, racial tensions. Yeah, and that's everywhere.
Here's the district attorney's office.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
Hey, you're all right. How are you?
Hi.
I'm just working on something. I didn't know if. Sorry. Your phone fell. It's just dangling there.
It's okay.
You can go ahead. I don't want your phone to break. Yeah, I'm recording.
Can you please turn that off?
I can't hear you.
Can you turn the recorder off? Is there a reason why you're recording?
Yes, there is a reason I'm recording.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna shut it off. I'm just working on something. I haven't met you yet, so
We're just working on a story. We're in the public area. We just had a few questions.
Yeah.
Hello.
We came here at the direction of the sheriff's department.
County?
Neshoba.
Okay.
They said that you might have some information. We were looking into specifically the Freedom Summer murders, but most specifically the recent trial against Mr. Killen. So he said that there was Killen.
Killen.
Edgar Ray Killen.
Killen.
Okay.
Yeah, he said that there were a multitude of files that we might be able to look through if we came over here.
Well, that trial happened years ago, so the case file, anything would have been, with the circuit clerk's office. Have you tried the court case?
Yeah, we did go there. So we looked through a lot of files, and we told the investigator at the sheriff's office that. So I think that the files obviously at some point were sent from here to there because we were just making sure that there weren't two separate sets of files.
No, once a trial happens, any evidence would have to be admitted to the courts, and they would be marked as exhibits, and they would then be at the courthouse with the clerk's office.
Okay,
so we did see them.
We went through.
Cool.
Okay, perfect. Could I have this young lady's name over here, please?
Yes.
Who?
This young lady. Could I have her name, please?
Miss Myers.
Miss Myers. Thank you.
Just moving forward, Miss Myers, I've never met you, and I came in here very polite. So I think moving forward, if you see someone you don't know, you shouldn't tell them they can't do something they had the God-given unalienable right to do, like exhibit their First Amendment right in a public space. So next time, please don't do that. That's rude. I appreciate your professionalism.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Unrelated, is the district attorney in?
No, I'm sorry. He's having in court in another county.
Okay.
And so they are in court over there today.
Okay,
Oh,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, you too. Are you the district attorney? You are? I was going to ask you a question.
That's the district
they
attorney?
Said that you weren't here. They said you were in another county in a meeting. Just wanted to say the young lady at the front desk, very, very nice.
Why did she just lie?
Can I come to the front so I can actually hear you instead of putting my head up to the window? Thank you. And you said the attorney's out, okay. Okay, no problem.
Maybe he's like the assistant or
No,
something.
he said he's the district attorney. Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Josh.
You are the district attorney?
I am.
I'm Justin McHenry. How are you?
Hi.
We're just
Oh.
very, very nice. She did tell us that you were out of the county somewhere else doing a case, but we were
Just
doing
10
some
seconds
work.
ago, she said that. You weren't in the building. You were in a different county.
Okay.
We're
Why
here
was
doing
she-
some work.
why
on
is she
the
lying about stuff
We're
like
doing
that?
some work on the summertime murders. We found some new information, so we're just following it up. You said he wasn't in the office. He was in another county.
Well, so, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. He must have come in on back door.
You're a sneaky. He's a sneaky district attorney.
We just came, we were at the sheriff's office, yada yada. It's a little documentary that we're doing. You think people pick sides around here? Is there anyone that's like, my grandpa didn't do that type stuff?
Not that I know of. Of course, I wasn't nearly born when this occurred, but grow up under the stigma of, oh, that's the place they killed the civil rights workers.
Okay.
Go off to college and hear that, then yeah, you're automatically branded with, oh, you're from that place.
Right.
That's fun. You know.
I mean, it's like there's the
Did you say that
Neshoba
was
County,
funny?
is the oldest Neshoba
Right.
County Jail.
Well, I have found a few people get defensive when you bring up the story. Like, you didn't get defensive. I mean, well, why would you, right? That's why I ask, are people sided?
No, I think it's more of people who come into town carrying cameras like y'all are. When they see people who are doing stories on it, they're not defensive because of what happened. They're defensive because I don't know you. And you're trying to write about my town and paint us in a bad light. That's why they're defensive.
It's still affecting this town 60 years later, whether people want to talk about it or not. I talked to a black member of the community that's a police officer who was, and I'm not going to say her name, I told her I wouldn't put her on camera, but she was present when that lady at the town hall made that comment, and she was so distraught and disgusted she had to leave.
She straight up
talked to her
left.
off camera,
Yeah.
and she was like, that is what happens here still. And we have someone that's telling us that there was another person present in that vehicle that got away. So that's part of the story. Have you ever heard of a fourth person? No?
Never heard.
Yeah,
No, I've not heard that.
so supposedly, yeah, they were all pulled out. There was 3 of them pulled out the back seat of a car. FBI statement is it was his dad's car, but the wife is saying they never had his dad's car.
I was looking up online, the father's car, the title comes back to a search and been verified. It's sold at auction in the early 1970s. So it definitely wasn't his. As we were on our way
Right.
over there, I was looking.
We're looking for a town or a restaurant that is local to town, owned by a local family, been around here forever. Is there anything like that?
What you're describing is Peggy's, which is like
Boom.
3 houses down.
Peggy's.
But it hadn't been opened.
Oh.
No, Peggy got too old to cook, and so
Where she live? One more lunch.
Sorry.
Okay,
That's
so
what you'd be looking
is there a
for.
next bet? Even a little bit? Maybe the next town over even? It's just like been here forever.
There's a Ronnie's.
That's what she said, Ronnie's.
Ronnie's
Ronnie's
too.
another good one. He's a lifelong Philadelphian,
Oh, perfect.
and so
Ronnie's. Just when we thought our journey was over, we headed to Ronnie's restaurant for the best hamburger steak in town. And I don't know if you believe in fate, but we were brought to Ronnie's for a reason, because we were seated next to the family of Edgar Ray Killen. They invited us back to their house, and what you're about to see, you will see nowhere else.
Edgar Ray Killen. He's better known as the preacher. He was the preacher in the whole deal. He's actually one of the only ones that ever served time. He died in prison just a few years ago for his part in the crime. So he's her brother-in-law, my uncle some days. But he is related to us.
So
And
Edgar Ray
Killen was married to her husband, my daddy. I mean, his sister. He was my daddy's brother-in-law.
Out of all the places we could have went to eat today,
right?
Have you met him?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Look,
We had Christmas with him.
I love him. And coming up, I knew something was about him. There was something, but they protected us from that as we were children. Like, I didn't know what he did. I just knew there was something that we wasn't supposed to know yet. Well, my daddy bought a book, and my daddy was a man of few words. If he said anything, you better listen, because he wasn't repeating it, and it was the truth. You know, he didn't gossip or whatever. But there's a book. I don't know who wrote it, but it's called KKK, the FBI's Attack on Terror. And my daddy bought that book, and he saved it, and he gave it to me when I got old enough to know what was going on. And he told me, if you want to know the truth, this book is the most accurate you will ever get.
What was he like in a personal specter?
Okay, now this had all happened before I got in the family. So I was like in the 8th grade when it actually happened. But after I married my husband, which was his wife's brother, Edgar Ray and Lucille would come to my mother-in-law's for Christmas, and he was just a very likable,
big talker.
Big talker. He would talk your ears off. But then there was times he would do weird things, like one Sunday we were all there, and all the women was in the kitchen, and the men was outside. Well, he came in the kitchen for a minute, and then he left, and then wasn't too awful, a little while longer, he came back in, and we started hearing our conversation, and he started laughing. He said, I was taping y'all. He had hid us tape recorder, and he was taping all the women's conversation.
Wow.
Against our knowledge.
And this is his family members, right?
This was his,
Everyone in there was his family?
His mother-in-law, sister-in-laws, and his wife.
How old were you when this happened?
About 20 or so.
What,
early 20s.
What did the family have to say about the accusations against him?
It just wasn't talk. Now my husband, after we got together now, he told me, he said, well, I don't know if you know it or not, but Edgar Ray was one of the ones that basically did the killing. He actually, they never did say just for sure, but it was always talked that Edgar Ray was one of the ones that pulled one of the triggers.
So this was kind of something that was out there, which is what led up to the
public
trial
knowledge.
later.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It was public knowledge, but like we were, I ain't gonna say shielded, but I guess so. It just wasn't talked about.
Yeah, so you had
like
mentioned
kids coming up. I knew there was something. Like I just knew. I don't know how I knew. Like I guess maybe I heard whispering, or when we would walk up, they would stop talking or whatever. But I knew there was something.
There's something up with him.
He would stay, leave like early on Saturday morning and stay gone till wee or hours, and leave Lucille by herself. Sometimes he would take her, but she would sit in the car, and he would get out and go in all these places and leave her in the car, for hours and hours and hours. As to where he was at or what he was doing, I couldn't tell you.
Was there any knowledge, and maybe this explains his kind of disappearances, but were you aware of the Klan still being in the area? Was he taking part of it? Was it still as active as it was when he committed the murders?
No. Not that I know of. Now I know it was there still was one. But as far as them being, I call it mean.
Yeah.
That's just the best way I can describe the Ku Klux Klan. It's just mean, hateful men. That's
I think maybe
that's the way I describe them. But I don't think
I believe he got forgiveness from God for what he did, because he wasn't mean-hearted. I'm sad about that, but he wasn't mean-hearted like that.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I just don't think somebody could do what they did and still be that same person and yet have love. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that he had the capability to love?
Oh, I do. Yes, I do. I mean, he was my uncle. I loved him. He loved me. There was no doubt about that. So that part, I know it happened. I know all that happened, but I don't think he was. I think he. Don't you?
All this had happened before I ever knew him. But if anybody had when my husband told me, just be
Right.
I couldn't believe that he could actually.
So you were shocked when you found out what it really was. You always knew there was something up. You didn't really know what it was.
Yeah.
You ever get any hints that it was KKK related? Like not even like.
When I was growing, like
no way,
there was
surely
always
not.
a big joke. Like, okay, they would, whoever could run the fastest to the kitchen would be safe from talking with him because he talked so much. So that's really like I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, like they would run and whoever was last one in there got
So
stuck
that's
with
the
him.
worst thing that you had on him. Was
Yeah,
talking
me,
like
right.
Okay.
When you look
Until
at,
I got older.
When you went out in public places, did people look at him? First part of my question. Secondly, was there still racial division? Was the white community in support of him, or was it everyone was against him?
No, people wasn't against him.
People weren't against him.
Not that I ever saw.
I mean, everybody just kind of went along.
There wasn't
But
like
now
an
when
obvious...
the trial came, when it came time to bring it all back up, then of course there was talk and stuff.
He was a logger. He just worked and was.
That's what he did for a living?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys know a trial's about to happen. There's now charges brought back on him. Is there what's the talk like in the family?
Nah.
Is there anything he's saying to say, I didn't do this to you, I didn't do that?
No, he never. He never tried to.
He never tried to explain himself in any way.
He
to
never
anybody?
tried to deny anything.
He didn't.
No.
Was there ever any remorse?
I think so. I think so.
He was a different person when the trial came because he was an old man.
I don't see how you could do something so heinous and then still have so much love, like, later.
Do you think he was still racist after this happened?
I'm
Yeah.
sure he was. But I will say, I had this friend, he's still my friend. He's a black guy. We've been friends our whole lives. And we was at O'Neill's store down here, and Ekere and his new wife pulled up one day. And he was like, uh-oh, there's Uncle Ekere. Just like, you know, and I was like, yep. And he didn't even, like, acknowledge that my friend was black. He come over, hugged me like always, shook my friend's hand. I mean, like it was nothing.
Do you think it was fair at his age for them to retry him?
Well, I hated that they did. I mean, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
I hated for him to have to spend his last year or so in prison, you know, die there. But on the other hand, I feel like if he'd done it, he should pay.
That's right.
Pay for his crimes just like everybody else has to pay for their crimes.
And what he did that a lot of them didn't, he did pay for his crime. He may have died there, and it may have been when he was 80 years old, but he did pay for it. He was held accountable.
He actually
finally
got more than anybody else.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Or when I spoke to Rita Schwerner, she told me that she met a man 60 years ago for about 5 minutes, and she gave me the name. That name matched the same person. They had not spoken to each other in 60 years, and they both told the exact same story. So, which leads me to my question: have you ever heard of another person being in the vehicle, and have you ever questioned why there were 3 activists in the back who was driving?
The story I always heard was that they had them in jail, and they kept them in jail until dark. And then they told them, okay, we're going to release y'all. Y'all go straight to Meridian and don't stop anywhere. And they said, of course, that they would because they were terrified, because of what had happened to them. And they pull them off and make them turn and go down this road that y'all gonna go down tonight. Then they made them get out, and then that's when they killed them. But then they took them and buried
them at Olen Burge's.
In Olen Burge.
They killed them out here and they took them out there.
Now, were either of these places, did Edgar Ray do any logging?
Edgar Ray lived
You
on
could
the
spit
road.
from where they killed them to his house. I will draw you a
We need to go
map.
see these spots.
I'll tell you, I would
Would you
draw
like to
you
accompany
a
us as
map.
we go see some of these
Can you
spots?
take us to them real quick?
Yeah, could you show us where his house is? Does he still have family living there, or is someone else on the
No,
house?
the house burned.
The house burnt.
His brother was living there and it burned.
Oddly,
Actually
it
blew up.
blew up, exploded. You can just feel. So it happened down this way.
Do you want to take a cruise down?
You can feel it. Yeah, that's the mom says she don't like coming down.
How far down was it?
We don't want to make her feel uncomfortable, so we'll take a quick ride down, and then we'll come back.
She'll be fine.
Okay.
This is where Uncle Edgar Ray's house was. All that's left is a chimney and a little bit of remnants of where the house was standing. But that's the main driveway right back there, and then I guess that's the secondary.
This is the driveway. We are currently in Edgar Ray Killen's house. It's a file cabinet. So this is Edgar Ray Killen's house, or what's left of it.
There was no electricity here, was it? There wasn't no electricity here.
There was water down there. Remember, his car was the car was ditched in a ravine.
But no, that wasn't here. That was on Olen Burge's place.
Oh, okay.
The water, yeah.
Okay.
That was at a different place.
Yeah,
Well, I think
they
this
did it here.
Look at this spot. Wide open.
So where did
And then that's on Highway 21.
where they took the body? Where did they take the body at?
That's where we're going next.
There was kind of behind his house, I think, is what I understood.
Let's
But he was
go.
building a pond.
Yeah, that's how the whole
That's why he had all the equipment
the
there.
equipment
Okay.
and stuff and the digging was going on because he was already building a pond.
Ah, so there's
So it was
a
just
good place to bring
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
So it was all planned.
yeah.
Building a
Who was building the pond?
Olen Burge.
Olen Burge.
Did he have any connection to Edgar Ray?
Just,
He was just one that was in on it.
yeah, he was just in on it too.
He was in on it too.
He was just one of the people that was there.
That was gonna, well, he was gonna help dispose of the body.
He was the guy that helps get rid of the body. I got a place to put it. Maybe I know you got a place to put it, so I'm calling you,
Yeah.
and you're gonna do it.
Then he had all the equipment and all that stuff.
So they brought him there. Can we go there?
Yeah.
So we have been driving for how long do you think now?
10 minutes, easy.
At least. So imagine, and I'm not even sure how much longer we have to go. Imagine doing this. This is down a main highway pretty much. Imagine what the car is like. You got 3 dead bodies in the car. What's the vibe in the car? You know, how stressful is that?
But they didn't have to worry about getting caught. They had a police escort. Yeah, the only people that could catch you are helping you dispose of the bodies.
That's right. So this 10-minute drive is actually not so bad.
Oh, it's a breeze.
And apparently they already have a pre-dug hole to put them in with plenty of equipment. A guy that's going to help them do it. And they almost get away with it too.
I'd say they still did.
We're still just cruising through town right now. Main roads.
Not all these houses were here, but most of these predate the mid-60s.
So we've been driving for 15, maybe even closer to 18 minutes now. Just cruising with 3 dead bodies, mutilated bodies in the back. Just crossed over the railroad tracks. Still just cruising through town.
We went from one end of city limits to the other. I mean, they didn't have to worry about any of the things that normal people that would commit these crimes have to worry about. I bet you they're like joking in the car. They thought they were gonna get away with it, all amped up.
Oh.
Like, oh my God, did you just see that? Like, we totally did it. We got them. Like, I bet you that's what was going on.
This is where his business was. He's passed now. That's his house. It was his house. All this around here is his people. But Olen Burge was the man. And it's somewhere, we cannot get to it, I'm sure, but it's back off in there.
That's the highway. And they bring it off over here. Olen Burge had property over here at the time. He was building a pond. And so we had a perfect place to put him. How long of a trip do you think that just was from Edgar's house to here? 15, 20 minutes? I'd say 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So they cruised 20 minutes or more.
From Highway 19 South going
through
toward
town
Meridian to Highway 21 North.
They had 3 dead bodies. And probably...
And they may have came the way we just came. That's always been a back road to that plant you saw, Warehouser.
So there we go.
Yeah. Hey, they'll shoot you.
They'll shoot you.
Trucking business. Yeah, his sons run it now.
So this is still his family.
Yeah. But Edgar Ray was a logger. Olen Burge was they own trucks.
All right, Josh, where are we now? Where are we now? That is the question.
I'm not quite sure. So thanks to the Quality in Biloxi Beach for hosting us here for our wrap up. And it has been a daunting task, right, to cover one of the largest civil rights cases in history, a 60-year-old cold case. And I think to still find new information in itself is pretty incredible. A couple months before I even brought you into this, I had been speaking to local resources in the town. I got about 4 months of research for something that's so well documented. Everyone has a different story, and I'm not just talking about people local to the town. News agencies, different stories. Wikipedia versus National Registrar of History having different stories. The people in the town having different stories. He's a racist murderer, but a really good guy. Even though it was well documented, we didn't know what we didn't know.
So there are actually 2 witnesses that say they took the bus.
Two witnesses.
Rita Schwerner, which is the wife of Michael Schwerner, and the person that picked them up later in his car. The unknown person that's still alive, by the way.
Correct. And I did speak to him.
And so he told you straight to your face, or maybe it was
on the phone. He said, no, he said,
yeah.
I was there, I picked them up at the bus stop, and he was interested to continue speaking to me. Of course, I'm interviewing people on the phone now. Several people, leaders in the community, before we get here, word starts getting around, he clams up, he's quiet after the first conversation. I call Rita Schwerner. She has a very clear recounting of what happened. I was at the bus stop in Meridian, Mississippi with another gentleman when we picked up James, Michael, and Andrew. Now, I said, that other gentleman you're referring to, is this his name? Yes, it is. When's the last time you spoke to him? 1964. 60 years had passed. 2 people that had only ever met each other for a total of 5 minutes. She saw her husband, saw him get in the car with his friends, she waved them off. So they told the exact same story. This gentleman is now telling people, I was there that night.
If 3 people are in a car, where are likely to be 2 of them in the front? Why were all 3 in the back? So it doesn't make sense twice. It doesn't make sense because one of them needs to be driving, and then there would be another one in the passenger in the front.
They don't really talk about on the second stop if the 3 people were in the back. It's really only mentioned in the first part. So where did this mystery person go? He was a member of the core organization. He was their local contact in Philadelphia, out of the field office in Meridian. After our first conversation, why quiet now? But the whole town had inside knowledge. Because so many, you're talking about 19 people just present there, 10 different vehicles. Those 19 people didn't all keep it quiet from their family and their friends. There was at least 40 to 50 people.
There's people that
knew what was going on. The police officers that had shut down the road.
No one talked for how many years, and then even when they did talk, they had to be paid to talk, and it was only on one person. But there's a lot more people responsible than just Edgar. And 20 years later, this town is tired of the stink, and so they have to put it on somebody.
The ones that are alive, they can't be retried for the same crimes.
All the big players are already dead. Yeah.
Who's left?
There's one guy left, and we need to get the stink out of this town. And when we went there, you could tell the stink is still there, and that isn't an insult to the town. All towns have their history. I'm not saying that town stinks and everyone in it stinks, but there's still a stink there and you can't ignore it. And I thought the best moment that explained that was when we were in the city hall and you had mentioned, what about the stink? And the white lady had mentioned, well, that stink is just racial indifference. The murders and the torture and the cover up, racial indifference. And there was a black lady in there who didn't say a word. She had just walked in, by the way, so it wasn't like she was about to walk out. She had just walked in behind us. Mm-hmm. And she hears this racial indifference comment, and she turns around and walks back out, just the way she came in. You went and talked to her later off camera. She was a little bit upset about that comment. But that is a good example of the atmosphere in that town. There's a lot of people that just want to say it's in the past. I want to forget about it. They'll talk to you all day until you bring it up. Now you don't like me anymore. Now I'm in your face with a camera all of a sudden, when I wasn't for the first 20 minutes. You can't live in it. You have to move on, but you can't forget it either. So the town is a little bit divided on how to deal with the stink. I think.
Well, it's easier. It's easier to forget when you're the one that isn't the victim. But we'll just forget it.
Yeah, that's the lesson.
If you kill somebody, listen, it happened 30 years ago. It was a mistake. I was drunk. I took their life. Really sorry about that. I'm just trying to move on. Yeah. And that's what causes such a divide. I think that town is still so divided. And I think
in a way, yeah.
I think the racism is subliminal.
Now, it's not hateful. Like, we didn't come across any hateful racist people. And I don't want to make any claims that everyone in that town is still racist or anything like that, but there's definitely a weird divide on how to deal with the past. And even the black people we spoke with would mention that we do need to move on. But the difference in opinion isn't whether we should move on, it's if we should talk about it still, if we should forget about it still. And I didn't meet any mad black people either. I didn't meet any crazy, racist, mad black people either. Everyone was very kind. No one had anything bad to say about the other. But the one thing I did see black people talk about was the memorial.
They're very upset about that, about how long it was held up and the location, what had happened.
Yeah, so actually explain that a little bit if you don't care.
So the memorial was originally supposed to be in front of the county courthouse, the building we went into. The building with a big old Confederate statue in front of it. On the other side, very small plaque to Martin Luther King. It was approved for the statue to go in front of the county courthouse. 5 years it's held up. 5 years it's sitting in a warehouse because now there's a fight. And it's not even being paid for by the city. A Jewish family comes in and says, we're going to pay for everything. You just need to let us put it places. Finally, time goes by, and I say it's subliminal racism, maybe it's unintended racism, but the statue goes into what was then the segregated black community.
They had their own Main Street. There was a white person Main Street and a black person Main Street.
There was.
And the black person Main Street is where he's talking about actually. And there was a couple stores. There was a hotel or a motel you'd actually consider it, which was the only place a black person could go stay at the time. If they had their little black person traveling handbook on where I can and can't go, that was one of the places you can go. And you can get a room. But nowhere else in town, just on Black Main Street in Philadelphia. And you better be careful, and you better not be there investigating any church burnings, and you better not be advocating for black people to be able to vote, because you might not make it out regardless. So one of the lessons we learned is how that town is handling the past. And then the other thing, we went there because we got some new information. I believe these two witnesses that they showed up on a bus.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that.
And
Let's break down. Yeah. I think that we both agree they arrived on bus and were picked up in front of witnesses Rita Schwerner and this other gentleman.
So we agree with that.
We agree with that. I think that there's truth. That's confirmed.
So then it's going to when they got pulled over. Whose car are they in when they got pulled over? My thoughts, they're in this unknown man's car.
They still are. I mean, it was common practice of the core movement to actually use switch cars anyways. So they would have locations in each major community, and they were starting to build more, and they would always have volunteers, and there would be a switch car. So if you're traveling around one day and the police start getting onto you, another person would come and bring another car.
And what if they're all in the back seat because the person whose car it is doesn't want them to be seen? I don't want to be seen with these activists in my back seat or in my car at all.
Well, so that's what we need to talk about.
So you all need to be in the back seat, but then they get pulled over anyway.
But so when they get pulled over, is he even there? And that's the next big question. His story has been told a couple times. I only know the story that was told to me. At the beginning, it was really only I picked them up that day. I picked them up that day. I was there with Miss Rita.
So he picked them up.
He picked them up, and he goes, and I said, well, you know, the killings. He goes, I know what happened, and then we're going to talk about it in another conversation. Word starts getting around town. There's a journalist calling people. He's got a big old YouTube channel. He's got a friend that's going to be working with him. He got a big old YouTube channel. Everybody clams up.
So they get pulled over. These three people go to jail. We think that they are in this unknown man's car. Why didn't he go to jail? We don't know.
I don't think it has to do with the gentleman that picked them up in Meridian. I think everything that we've looked through, all the evidence we've explored, I mean, you literally asked every single person, what about this fourth person story? His involvement that we can prove, that no one else knew about, by the way.
No one else will testify to that.
Associated Press, New York Times, the National Historical Registrar, the Civil Rights Museum, no one was able to find that information.
So I think he was picked up by this mystery man. I think possibly this mystery man over the years wants to be a part of that story, maybe more than he actually was, and that's where he starts telling people, I was actually there for this, I was actually there for that, when he wasn't there for all of it. He was just there to pick him up, maybe. Now, where it gets weird, and I'm with you on this was all a setup, because if we're going to kill these guys, if we're going to let these guys out of jail in the middle of the night, by the way, and kill them, so we took the trip from where they were killed to where they were buried. Why kill them there if you have to take them 20 minutes through all the way through town to go bury them? Maybe I'll do the respect of not killing them on your property, but I am going to bury them on your property. I'll go kill them down some random dirt road, but I am taking them to your property. Because the man whose property that they were buried
Burgess,
on,
also.
he wasn't even the one, he wasn't there. He wasn't there for the murders, right?
No, he wasn't there for the murders.
So he was used as a place to go put the bodies.
He was building a pond, and he had this.
So that's my big question:
old
is
dam.
why not just take them straight out there and kill them there? I have enough shit on you, or whatever it is. I'm burying them on your property, and that, you know. But I'm not going to kill them there. Maybe that was the whole thing.
And they were all Klansmen. No, they coordinated these spots strategically.
Yeah.
The sheriff's department, the old Neshoba County Jail, Sheriff Rainey's domain. The murder site, Edgar Ray Killen's domain. The dump site, Olen Burge's domain. All of it was congruent. They moved them and shuffled them through different places.
Well, so then where do we think the mystery man? Where do we think his story becomes a story and not the truth anymore?
I think that he picks these guys up and he's going around with them, doing all the core meetings. I think things are starting to get dangerous. And I think for whatever reason, and I'm not going to speculate, but some reason tells him, well, the church just got burned down, all this other stuff happened, I'm good. Or maybe he just had to take care of, he had a date that night. Who knows what happened? I don't think he was there. I think myth busted. We have no credible
But you're
proof.
saying they were in his car when they got pulled over.
Yeah,
So he let them have his car?
I take my wife's car. They only had
So
one
that's
car.
what you're saying. So
But
you're
yeah.
saying that they were in his car, but
They were
he
in-
wasn't there.
That's what I'm saying. They get pulled over, and the sheriff say, well, y'all get in the back. Y'all get in the back. And then the other Klansmen start showing up. So all these different
This
witnesses...
makes perfect sense.
All these different witnesses are saying, we showed up, we got there, our mob got there, we're the activists in the back.
And so to claim that it's Michael Schwerner's dad's car is a way to... What's the point of that?
I think it's a way to... You muddy the waters. It's really just misdirection, right? If you're...
Was it they actually didn't know and they're stupid and they were just like, oh, that must be his dad's car, because his dad did have a car similar to that?
No, I think they were telling... It's all misdirection.
Or is it a
Sleight of
way
hand.
to cover up the fact that this other man was involved at all? Or is it just to muddy the waters?
I think it could have been misdirection on the activist part. Listen, they knew what they were into. I think the final question is this. We spoke at length to Edgar Ray Killen's niece and his sister-in-law. He went to prison he was in federal prison with a black gentleman. Black gentleman says, listen, you got a year left. So confess to your crimes, write them all down, and maybe they'll let you out early. He confessed to 21 additional cold cases. The letter was confirmed by news media, hand analysis experts, and the state prosecution's expert as being his handwriting. I think the real question is, what do we know? And that's the reason I bring that up, is because every single one of these people was a great guy. The guy that did the castrating, yeah, Uncle Jim.
That's Uncle Jim.
Uncle Jim's a good old boy. We
Yeah.
like Uncle Jim.
He might have been evil, but not to me. And that
Or-
was a lot of the, This is my last question. Is this case closed?
For whom? Is it closed for the black community? It certainly is closed for the white community. It's closed as far as police and prosecution is concerned. This case is closed. Is this case closed for us? I don't think this case will ever be closed. I am proud to have worked with my best friend to explore something like this. To take it on has been daunting, it has been intimidating. Walking the very same footsteps, the very same path Martin Luther King walked. And to know that we got more information. Edgar Ray Killen's family had never been interviewed. I think we got as much as we're gonna get. And I hope, I pray that 60 years from now, 2 other people will be sitting across from each other at a table like this, and they will be able to say what we can't today. Case closed.
It's been a pleasure, brother.